I'm Edie Lush, and I'm here inside the Hub Culture studio with Aron Cramer, President and CEO of BSR. Now, at once upon a time, it stood for Business Sustainable...
Business for Social Responsibility.
But now it's just BSR.
BSR.
But you're interested in the idea of sustainable business, which I love. Now, give me an example of a company and a partnership that you've worked on and how that's made a difference.
Well, recently we were asked by Facebook to look at the human rights implications of how the platform is being used in Myanmar. Very difficult set of circumstances. Facebook was very aware of that and wanted to get a third party to look at what they had done and how they might do things differently in a country where the platform had been used, including by the government, to foment hate. And so we were pleased to complete this report. It's been released publicly, and Facebook is using it to help improve their assurance that the platform is not being used to violate human rights.
The Facebook Myanmar story is so fascinating because I think it gets at the heart of what a lot of people get so frustrated with these days. Fake news being spread by social media. Social media companies, which we know are making a lot of money, seeming to turn a blind eye to human rights issues. But what you found was that, tell me a little bit about what they're doing based on your findings.
Well, it's very interesting here in Davos this week. The intersection of business, technology, and democracy is a big topic of discussion. And not only Facebook, but the likes of Microsoft and others are looking at how they can make sure that they're helping to promote free and open and safe exchange of ideas and not interfere with that. In the case of Facebook in Myanmar, one step that they took was to expel some of the most senior representatives of the government, including from the military, from use on the platform because they grew convinced that their platform was being manipulated for purposes that interfered very, very directly and on a very, very human basis with human rights principles. So we're learning how these new technologies work, and companies really need to be part of the solution to make sure that they promote democracy, not interfere with it.
They also didn't have enough local folks policing the content. Is that right? And is that part of the solution as well?
Yeah, Facebook, amongst other companies, are employing very large numbers of people to look at content. 2 billion people use Facebook every day. If the New York Times had to edit the stories of 2 billion people every day, it couldn't exist. So these new platforms are learning, you know, a little bit late perhaps, but are learning and taking steps that I think are important and benefit all of us if done right. And if done wrong, then we all know what some of the consequences are.
Tell me one more story about one of the groups that you're working with and how things have changed.
Well, we've been involved in something called the We Mean Business Coalition, which is a group of 7 organizations, BSR and 6 others, who work with business on climate issues. And we've been helping to bring the business voice into policy dialogues to promote decisive action on climate. We had a lot of reports in the fall of 2018 showing that despite a lot of activity, we're not on track to meet the goals of the Paris Agreement. So governments need to step up and business needs to step up. And when business makes that point to governments, we're more likely to get the kinds of public policy solutions that are needed. It creates a virtuous circle of action.
And so what's the next step for that? What are you hoping is going to happen this year?
Well, the big event on the calendar this year in terms of climate is a summit that the Secretary General is holding in New York in September. And that's going to be the time when governments who are parties to the Paris Agreement, all governments of the world with the exception of one, we'll think of that later, will be renewing commitments looking ahead to 2020. And so this is a time to raise ambition, and that's where some of the things that business is doing to innovate, to invest in new technologies, to build partnerships that are making a lot of progress towards a decarbonized economy, we hope that that message will spark governments to do more as well.
Aron, thanks so much for stopping by the Hub Culture studio here in Davos, and I'm Edie Lush.